Hi, Aaron. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. How have you been?
I've been doing great. It's a pleasure to sit down with you and get started on this podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Surprisingly a little tired today. I don't know why.
Where
Like,
are you calling in from? You look like you have a nice little museum background behind you.
yeah, I'm in my apartment building. So
Oh,
I'm in New
got it.
York right now, yeah. I go to NYU.
Nice, nice.
Unfortunately,
Where in New York City? Like what? Lower East Side near that area?
nah, I live in Hudson Yards.
Oh, got it. That's a beautiful place, by the way.
Yeah, but it's kind of far from everything else.
Yeah, yeah. I think my least favorite part about Hudson Yards is the subway stations. It's just harder to connect to where I want to go
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah, because it only goes to Flushing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you have to walk or transfer. So,
Yeah.
but still, beautiful area. Looks like you have a nice apartment. So I'm glad
Yeah,
that
thank you.
you're doing well.
Where do you live in New York?
So we were in Times Square, right next to the Rockefeller Building. So that's where we're based off of. And the ideal dream for the company is to get an in-person office with everyone as well. I think that would be a great, environment to have for a startup.
Yeah, for sure. And you said you're now in LA, right?
Yeah, this is where I was born and raised. So, grew up here my whole life. Went to college in SF at Berkeley, and then moved to New York to run the company.
Yeah. Which part of LA?
It's the fake LA. I'm more near the San Bernardino County, Orange County area. Like 45 minute an hour away from the city.
I think is Orange County near Balboa Island or something like that?
Yeah, so it's a big area. SoCal's a big area. So, um, sorry if I botched the pronunciation, but I think it's Boba Island. And
Yeah,
that's about a 40-minute drive from me. So it's a huge area, and I think that's what brings a lot of diverse cultures and ideas in LA. Defense tech is huge now, in LA. Snapchat was here in LA, so there's a ton of different things going on from just a tech perspective because of how big it is, right? Like El Segundo, all the defense tech companies are bundled up there. Santa Monica has a lot of social consumer tech. It's a pretty interesting area, and if you haven't been, you're welcome to visit.
yeah, no, Cali was great. I lived in Manhattan Beach for a summer
Oh, nice.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then again for Christmas. It's like a different it's like a different world from the rest of LA for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, I
It,
mean that's what I mean, right? Every little pocket, every little square is a different place. I would compare it to the larger, New York City, like different boroughs, different, little areas. They all have their own niche, right? Like
yeah.
if you walk into the Broadway, streets, you're getting a whole different vibe than walking on Wall Street. And I think that's kind of encompassed by LA, but in a much larger area sense, right? You have to drive 30, 45 minutes an hour to feel that way.
Do you prefer New York or LA?
So I think for what we're doing in financial services, I definitely prefer New York. A lot of our different partners, a lot of our different financial partners as well. I'm not sure how much you know about our business model. I know you spoke with, my co-founder before. They're all based on the East Coast, right? So particularly, we work with a lot of professional societies and associations. And as you can imagine, DC is a huge hotspot for that. They're always on the Hill, lobbying, talking with politicians, working with different unions, different different nonprofit organizations, just all types of purposes. So, being in New York, you get the financial side, right? So all the different funds that we work with, you get the close access to DC, and it's a flight away from Chicago. Which another thing that a lot of people don't know about Chicago is a lot of these professional associations and societies, right? They have two branches. They have a lobbying branch, quote unquote branch. Some people just keep it under one arm, but that's in DC. And then they have a member benefits branch or member benefits division, and that's always in Chicago. Don't ask me why. I I honestly don't know why, but just being in New York gives you close access to both of those locations.
Yeah, I think New York is great because I don't have to like drive anywhere. I hate driving.
Yeah,
And in
yeah, yeah.
Cali, you
I feel
have
you.
to drive.
I feel you. I feel you for sure.
Yeah, I spoke to your co-founder and he told me that you guys dropped out after your first semester at Berkeley,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
was absolutely amazed. And then he said, I was only 18, but my co-founder was 16.
yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta you gotta tell me this story. Like how does that happen? And then you guys get into Y Combinator. Like how old were you? 16, 17 as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah. So when I
You
when I
you
was
gotta
when I
tell me that
applied,
story.
yeah, I'll start from the beginning. So um, I'm not sure if Saho gave you the full story, but I can start from the beginning for viewers who haven't watched that episode as well. So Saho and I met the summer before we started college. We were in high school. We both got into Berkeley, and there's this Instagram page for class of 2025, right? Anyone can post, "Hey, this is who I am. These are my interests," and obviously we follow each other from that page, as many incoming college students do. And Saul posted this random story you wouldn't expect, right, from a high schooler at that time. And it's talking about how he has this big vision. He loves crypto. He's working on these things. And I posted a story of my own NFT that I minted. It had my Instagram handle. It had like at AARONBAII. And we just hit it off instantly. The same day that we met, which was via these Instagram stories, noticing that we had similar interests, we hopped on a Discord call, very crypto-esque and very high schooler-esque at that time, for I would say about 6 to 7 hours, and we just
Huh?
kept talking. We
In a
started at
row?
noon. Yeah, 6 to 7 hours in a row. We never stopped. We started around noon. We ended. We skipped dinner. We ended in the evening, and we pulled up Notion pages. We pulled up Google Docs. There's a software called Pitch.com where you can make PowerPoints. We pulled up Pitch.com, and we're coming up with just all these different ideas about our interests, right? Fintech, crypto, blockchain at that time. We were coming up with logos, names. I mean, I can get into a whole different tangent, but that's not that important. But that's when we knew, right? Like something was gonna work out. And the most funny moment I had from that day was I told him at the end of that meeting, please tell your parents you're ready to drop out. and and he said, what are you talking about? We just met. Like I don't even know you. We but we started that company that same day, and I knew from the beginning like this was gonna be something worth pursuing above and beyond what we were planning to pursue before we met. Right. So that on that same day, we knew something was going to happen, something big was going to happen. We didn't know exactly how it was going to pan out, but I think I had that, you know, inkling of like, this is big. And from there, we went on to college. We worked on our startup day in and day out, to be honest, at a much higher priority than going to class and studying. And within a few months, we raised our seed round. We got into Y Combinator, and that's when we finally made the move that I was envisioning since day one, which was transitioning into this full time. And at that time, yeah, I was 16. Um, I started college at 16 because I skipped a grade when I was younger, and I think I was the youngest founder in that YC batch. Saho was very young as well, and a lot of proving ourselves to investors, a lot of proving ourselves to the market. But yeah, that's the founding story.
16 is crazy. Wait, are you 04 or 03?
Oh 04.
Oh, me too. What
Yeah,
month?
nice. October.
Damn. How are you 2 grades above me? That's
What grade are you
damn.
in?
I'm a freshman right now, so
Oh,
27.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna finish in 26 because I'm just getting the classes done.
Oh, congrats. That's a great move.
Yeah, I don't. Did you like school?
So I'd say that's a very nuanced answer for that. I liked what school was offering me in terms of opportunity. I did not think the day in and day outs of the set curriculum was for me, but I loved the opportunity that it was presented. So, for example, our early advisors, I would have not met them without going to school. Not to say that I would have never met them, right? I probably would have networked my way out. I probably would have cold DM people on Twitter, which I was doing anyways, cold emailing, cold calls. But it definitely made it a lot easier, right? People connected with me. What we would do is we recognized going to the freshman general education classes weren't really gonna bring us people who can level us up that quickly, right? Great
Yeah,
people. Many of them are still my close friends, but they weren't gonna just, put me in front of the CEO of some of the largest crypto companies, some of the largest fintech companies. So
I
we would,
100% agree.
so we would hang out exclusively in the MBA courtyard, and you know, we would just sit there, we would study there, we would work there, and when you sit there for 30 days a month, at some point in time, you're going to come across someone that's going to help you, right? These are MBAs, they're 30 years old, 35, 40. they built their own companies before, they've sold their companies, they work, high level executive positions, and that brought a lot of opportunity for us. We met the right people, we brought them onto the team as advisors, they mentored us, they connected us to investors, they connected us to customers. We learned a ton from them that we wouldn't have if we weren't put into those positions, right? So the opportunity brought from being in that environment was very valuable. The connections and the brand behind it. In terms of the curriculum, obviously that's just not what I was focused on at that time. Not to say I was, bad at school, right? Like if I wanted to study the curriculum, I could have studied the curriculum. But I think as a priority, I recognized the opportunity was probably not going to come to me in the near future, right? 2021, the height of the zero interest rate environment, fintech was hot, crypto was hot. VCs wanted to talk to young founders. If you try and go out and do the same thing today in 2024, or even 2025, right? Pretend I was staying throughout my degree and graduating, I probably wouldn't have been in the same opportunity, right? Time matters a lot. The environment matters a lot. And the way that, especially in tech, the way that the markets are moving matters a lot in terms of how people perceive you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of freshmen now, they think, you know those networking events that they have in colleges where they go, oh yeah, come to this event where we have a speaker and in the end you can ask some questions and you can do
Yeah.
networking.
Yeah,
That
yeah, I
shit
know
never
those things.
works out. It's just a waste of time. There's like 50 kids lined up to speak to one person and they're like assuming that the guy's gonna care about them. It's like no matter how nice the person is, it's impossible. There's too many people.
Right, right.
So I think hanging out in the NBA courtyard actually makes more sense.
Yeah. And I think, and this is just unasked for advice, unsolicited advice for you and for anyone listening. When you're trying to network, it's important to think about what you bring to the other person, especially
The
when
value
you're
you provide.
right, especially when you're trying to get their mentorship, right? So I'm only bringing this up because you brought up that example. So you need to be in a position where people want to help you, people want to mentor you, people think, hey, like this guy is going to do it without my help, but I'd rather help him.
Yeah.
So for me, I treated, sitting in the NBA courtyard every time I came across someone who I really admired, and I still admire them, right? Like they were my first mentors. A lot of them are successful founders or successful in their own fields, whether it's credit, whether it's finance, whether it's marketing, right? Um, I wouldn't have learned a lot of what I know without them. I would treat it as like a pitch for an investor, right? I would want to impress them with the vision. I would communicate, hey, this is what my founders and I are building. This is why we think it's successful. We think it's going to be successful with or without you, but you would help us tremendously. And I think that's the difference between, lining up and trying to speak to someone and shake their hands and say, hey, um, I'm who and who, and I want to learn from you. That's the difference between that and pitching them a grand vision. Like, hey, do you want to join this? Right? Join the team, be my mentor, get a little bit of equity, but that shouldn't be the reason why they join. It should be about the excitement. Think of it as RV recruiting, right? I think it's a good example to bring up. Um,
Yeah.
in the recruitment videos, very rarely is money a factor, right? Because it's not a significant amount of money. But you want these missionaries to fight for you, not mercenaries. And that's a saying that one of my mentors actually spoke about. He was a veteran. When you're building an early stage startup, when you're finding mentors, right? When you're finding people who want to help you, you want people who truly believe in the mission, who's going to go out 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. on vacation, help you out, versus someone who says, hey, like, you gave me 40 hours of internship hours. Let me do something for you on behalf, right? That's the difference. And I think that's something a lot of people should keep in mind.
Yeah, 100% agree. Because now, with my company at least, I started talking to investors, and I'm starting to see how each one has their own agenda, and I'm trying to make sure that each agenda is aligned with my own. Some are super focused on money and only getting rich, and that kind of puts me at a weird position where I'm uncomfortable with that
Mm,
because I know that at the end of the day, they just want the money and they don't actually see the vision of like what we're trying to build or who we're trying to help. And that scares me. So I'm trying to stay away from people like that.
So let me ask you this, turning the tables a little bit. What is your mission? Who do you want to help? And I just love to learn more because all I know is what you have outside and online. And you bring up this topic of, hey, investors don't see the vision, mission. They don't see how we can help people. What is that for you?
It's more of like well, so my company is a crypto company that allows you, it's an exchange that lets you trade without any fees because we show you advertisements. So it's an ad tech company. Um, the vision pretty much was I'm a really cheap person. Like honestly, I'm being completely honest. There are things I spend my money on, but I am so cheap.
Mhm.
Like when I left Fordham, my old school, when I transferred and I was moving into my apartment, I swear to God, I took plates from my old school so I didn't have to buy any.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so let me ask you this in a better way. How would you pitch this to an investor? Is that how you pitch it to an investor when they ask you why do you do
we're
what
in
you do?
exchange.
Yeah.
Oh, why I do what I do is for my family's legacy, like for my dad, because of how much he's done for me.
What about the product itself, right? Like when I ask why do you want to have an ad-free exchange? Who are you trying to help and why is it? What's the deeper like why?
Honestly, I never really thought about it. It was more like I kind of,
And I think you can think about it, right? But I think that's what I mean by how are you going to find the missionaries for your vision if you can't, you know, communicate it to them in a way that they can empathize with.
yeah,
So another great example I can bring up here um, is the Apple ads from Steve Jobs. People talk about it all the time, how Steve Jobs is a great marketer. When you look at their ad where I forgot the exact name for it, but it's talking about how they look for people who are different. They look for people who are crazy, right? You want to be a little
yeah.
crazy. I think the exact word is fitting a square peg in a round hole, or vice versa. Um, and that's how Steve Jobs communicated his deeper meaning to people who wanted to buy this product. And he wanted people to empathize with it and think, oh, like I feel that way. I'm a little crazy, right? Like I want to think different. I want to build
Oh,
innovative things.
okay.
So therefore, I associate with Apple. So for me, when I was pitching my product to my mentors and trying to have them help and join me in building out this mission and vision, for me, it was about helping the common Joe access complex financial systems that are making the hedge funds rich. So it feels very unfair. It is very unfair still, right? The financial system, even today, I think it's a problem that needs to be addressed. Why can't the common Joe access the same complex financial systems in a more, in a less complex fashion? And that was the product. We were packaging a very complex lending and borrowing and saving system on the blockchain into a consumer app that your grandma could pick up and use today. And the impact that we could bring is now your grandma can earn the same, benefits that Jamie Dimon sitting at his nice office on the 60th floor can earn. So I think that's what I talk about when I mean find the missionaries, right? Can people actually think about that mission and think, wow, I want my mom, I want my dad, I want my grandma to access those benefits as well. And what's stopping us? It's hard
That's
work, it's time, it's putting in the effort, and it's building this company. It's staying up to 2 a.m. and building this together because we can impact billions of people around the world. So
is that your pitch?
that was the pitch for the crypto company,
Holy
right?
shit, dude, that was insane.
So I think when I asked you that question, the reason why I asked you that question is because you were saying investors weren't buying into your vision. But I
Yeah,
think sometimes we need to sit down, and this took a lot of time, right? For our team,
yeah.
we need to sit down, we need to pull out the drawing board, pull out the whiteboard, and think about a vision that people actually want to buy into, not just
Mm,
something you think is cool. I think there's a lot of opportunities with free gas fees using ads. Have you seen the free water Instagram?
Yeah, yeah. So that's
Yeah,
one of the things that we were looking at. There's like the
right.
free water thing. There's other companies where you can do like they let you learn how to trade
Yeah.
stocks and manage your finances, and they actually pay you with affiliates and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you have a deeper meaning, right? There's so much meaning to be derived out of it. For free water, it's literally providing a human right to people around the world. For you, isn't accessing safe, secure financial systems, you
Yeah,
can pitch it as a human right. How can you even live in this world without a safe, secure financial system?
yeah.
And people deserve to have the right to that. So I think there's a lot of that just I'm not trying to pitch for you. That was I don't understand the product from the engineering perspective and your vision. But the reason why I bring this up is I think every entrepreneur should do this at least once a quarter, if not more than that. Is to really sit down and think, where can I bring impact? Because that should be what people are buying into, not just, hey, like this is what I'm building, it's cool, you should buy into it. That's not you're not really finding missionaries for it. That
Hmm.
with that you can only find mercenaries, right? You can only find people who want to do it for money if that's your
Yeah.
pitch. So it's more about changing up the pitch versus trying to expect people to react differently.
Damn, dude. I've been working on my pitch, and I actually need a ton of help. So thank you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the company I started like was because for me, I always found it interesting of how I could find sneaky ways around shit. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like when you try to save money, you can do some like you buy from here and then you bring it over here and then you return it here and then you can do all these like really sneaky ways of gaming the system. And I think that's what is so interesting about this company for me because there's so many ways that you could cover someone's fees, but doing it with advertisements is like it's just so it's just like gaming the system,
right.
kind of like the free water thing. So I think that's one of the like larger reasons for why I'm doing this as well. And plus, I think that crypto is a way that it levels the playing field because people with little money can get rich as well. And because they're starting with so little, having to pay fees actually impacts their wallets
Yeah.
and the amount of money they're allowed to invest. So
I think a
I guess
more
now that,
sorry,
go ahead.
finish. No, you're all
Oh,
good.
I guess now that I'm thinking of it, is like I want to empower people with less money to be able to have a higher chance
Yeah.
um, to trade without any fees because some of the fees are super high.
Yeah, and I think that's a mission people can get behind, right? And when you think about the societal impacts of that, and you think about the demographics that use crypto in the first place, when you look at Argentina, right? When you look at Venezuela, when you look at a lot of these third world or developing nations, the people who need it the most are the people who can't afford these gas, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at these nations, people are literally buying bananas off the street with Bitcoin and with crypto, whatever type of cryptocurrency. And these are the people that need cryptocurrency the most because their country's currency is not as stable as America, right, where we are today. So bringing those benefits to those demographics, I think there's a lot of impact that could be done,
Hmm.
and it's more about wrapping it in the right way. You're not changing the product with a different pitch. That's what a lot of people don't
Yeah.
realize. The product stays the same. It's the same as me giving you, let's say, critique, right? If I'm your dad or your mom, I can either yell at you or I can package it in a way that motivates you and inspires you. But theoretically, right, the end result and the end goal should have been the same. But what's going to have the most impact and not leave your kid traumatized? It's probably the better packaging. And I think that's what goes into the pitch. Um,
Yeah.
and that's how you get more missionaries on your side to pitch for you. I think a lot of people don't realize if you can find a great missionary, they're going to bring in so much more value than just coming in with investment or with their hard work. If they were, joining your team as, let's say, an engineer, they're not just going to come in with that, right? They're going to be recruiting for you. They're going to be finding investors for you. Some of our best investors believe in our vision and brought all their friends in the door with us, right? Because they're spreading our gospel and they're spreading the goals that we want to achieve.
Damn. I was struggling like for content as well. How do we make meaningful content to do the marketing for the company?
Yeah,
That definitely helps out a lot. It's
yeah,
just like being more genuine.
absolutely. I mean, if you've seen, I'm not sure if you've seen those videos. I think it's on Vox or Vice or one of those media channels where they travel to South America and they follow like a couple of everyday your common Joes. They follow them to the market. They follow them to buy ice cream and buy good, and the media, right, the journalists record them buying these everyday items with Bitcoin. So imagine if you go down there and you film a blog or video or content just showing these people doing these everyday things, but now without having to pay that extra fee, right? That's meaningful content that people can get behind. So now we're deriving a little bit away from pitching people, right? This is a little different. This is more about the,
Yeah.
the marketing side. But I think the same thing applies. People want things that they can, empathize with. People want things that they can stand by, not just um, a product.
Yeah, for the pitch, would you use a similar pitch if you're like on a slideshow, if you're pitching to investors? Like for example, we're participating in like this pitching competition, and if you win, you get money and they don't take equity, where you have to give your idea.
Mhm.
How would you pitch that? Would you pitch it in the same way?
Yeah, I think there's also this common misconception that the slideshow is the pitch, right? The reality is you bring the pitch. The founder brings the pitch. The slideshow's there for guidance and information. So the slideshow can incorporate all these different stats and these numbers and these big picture ideas, but you need to bring the pitch. If you come in here and you read off a slideshow with everything that we just talked about, and you just read
Yeah,
it, very blankly, with no emotion, very nonchalantly, then I don't think the judges will buy into that. They want founder market fit, right? That's something I'm sure you've seen videos talking about it, seen blogs talking about it. It's one of the first things investors look for. It's why does this founder belong in this market? It might be experience, right? 99% of the chance it's experience. This guy knows the market. Let's back him. But with someone like yourself and coming from another founder who started at a very young age, we don't have that experience. So we can bring another perspective, right? We can bring in our, background, our motivations, our, need for societal change, our need for impacting people or specific demographics. So from a slideshow perspective, I think it's yours to toy with. You can add in, small snippets of what we just talked about, but you can add in tables and data showing and backing all this information. But when you actually get there, it's about you bring that energy and your story and why this matters.
yeah. Honestly, I don't want to use a slideshow. Like I prefer telling more of a story.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
But
right. The slideshow's there for supplemental purposes. If you can put in an image, right, a picture, a big table showing the fees that different exchanges charge. If
yeah,
you, if I think a cool idea is if you show a table of the mismatch between, let's say, the average salary of someone who needs crypto in their daily life and the fees that crypto exchanges charge, that'll
mhm,
shine the light, right, on the need of this product. When you see, hey, maybe 75% of the world's crypto users are making below the poverty line, for example, right? I'm just coming up with data. Uh, but in the meantime, the average crypto exchange is charging more than their daily salary, right? Just examples like that
mhm.
will be supplemental to what you're talking.
Yeah, that gives me a whole new perspective. So now when I pitch, I'm thinking I can just have a slideshow, but kind of, use it as a way to like make my pitch more empowering,
Right.
where I
Exactly.
kind of go, where I like go into it like crypto is the only way that crypto is a way that levels out the playing field. It allows people to get richer, but the issue is blah 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 blah.
And this is just me personally.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if crypto helping people get rich is the best pitch. I could be wrong for
yeah,
many people who are listening to this. But I don't think that's the reason why I got into crypto. I don't think that's the reason why I think crypto is important.
hmm,
Because at the end of the day, if you think about the get rich schemes in crypto, right? What does that
yeah,
really attribute to? That usually attributes to
like the scams.
scams, SEC lawsuits. Who's really getting rich? from these pump and dump schemes. It's celebrities, it's people who are already rich, it's the institutions. And I don't think that's a mission that, me personally, I don't think that's something I would stand by and vote for.
Yeah.
I think for me, the power of crypto, a lot of it comes from helping economies, in very developing economies, be more stable for the average Joe. It comes with security, right? It comes with trust, right? A lot of the open source areas of it, and that's why it's prevalent in healthcare. I think it's really important in healthcare. I think it's really important in a lot of different industries. But getting rich might not be the best pitch, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. I think I just can't tie anything to money. It's got to be bigger than that.
Right, exactly. So, for example, with what we're doing, right? Now I'm building a small business credit card company.
Yeah, Affinity.
Yeah, Affinity. So,
Okay, pitch me Affinity. Let me see. Let me see. Let me learn. Let me learn.
so first, I just want to quickly address that point, right? With what we're building, you know, from the ground up, Affinity is here to serve small businesses with technology that they've never seen before, that have empowered startups and tech companies to access literally unthinkable resources, such as, if you have a startup and you sign up for Brex. I'm not trying to pitch this to you, by the way. I'm just trying to bring this analogy to you from,
Yeah.
your pitch about, getting money versus, what we think about on a daily basis. As a startup on a daily basis, I use Brex, I use Ramp, I use Mercury. These are large fintech companies. You can Google them. They're billion-dollar valuations. And they allow me to access like expense management programs, which usually cost thousands of dollars. They allow me to access lines of credit that large banks would never give to me because I'm not a, $10 million EBITDA profitable, public company, or, I'm not a traditional business, right? I'm a high growth business. We invest all of our revenues and all of our earnings back into growth. That's the point of a startup. Now I can access a line of credit from Ramp, Rex, Mercury because they understand our business model. I'm able to access different features on cash flow management, on budgeting, VC, venture debt, right? VC connections, etc. And these are things that I take for granted as a startup. But when I speak to small business owners, they're still on those incumbent systems that don't understand or simply don't care about their unique needs. Why is a doctor using the same credit card as a government contractor? Why are they on the same financial platform as a dentist? At the very core, they're spending money on different items. They have different business models, right? Their cash flow cycles are different, their revenue cycles, everything's different. They need to be underwritten differently. They want to earn different rewards. They have different expense management needs. Yet, if you walk into a large bank, a Capital One, they slap you a flyer and they say, hey, we have this one size fits all financial solution. You sign up, here's a card, here's a dashboard, here's everything you need. And they give every single business owner in every single industry the same thing. Now, as a startup founder, I've tried applying for credit cards with large banks. I've tried accessing financial systems with large banks. It just doesn't work for my needs. But these traditional industries and their small business owners have been dealing with this for decades. So what we're doing here at Affinity is we're bringing these tech-forward solutions and these customized solutions for each industry into these traditional systems. So we're giving a government contractor a government contracting financial system, underwrite it based on their needs, giving them rewards for government contracting. Same thing for dentists, same thing for doctors. But we could very easily pitch this as, hey, we help small businesses get more money, right? Because now they don't have to pay extravagant amount of fees to XYZ Bank. They can use this instead.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of better ways we can pitch this versus dentist, more money, more savings. That's part of the marketing, don't get me wrong, but that's not the mission, right? The mission is more than that. The mission is empowering small business owners so they can focus on their daily operations, save people's lives, go to the hospital, go buy their medical supplies without worrying about their financial systems, because that's not what they majored in. They went to, medical school. A government contractor, right? Their trade, whether it's construction, whether it's defense systems, whether it's technology, they should care less about finances. So we're empowering small business owners who run America And I think that's more core to our pitch versus get rich, save money. So
Yeah,
that's the example I wanted to bring up when you brought up the fact that, hey, like I just want to tie things together.
that is insane. Wait, so then what is your pitch? Is it that?
I'd say that's a big piece of it, right? I think our pitch comes, I'd say, in twofold. Number one is the mission, right? And this should be every startup's pitch, right? The mission is that it's how do we empower small business owners when large banks have not catered to their needs for decades and haven't given them the attention they need to succeed. But the second part of that is how do we get there, right? I just presented this grand vision to you. It might sound impossible. We're competing against large banks. It might sound unattainable. But what's our unique models and strategies to win? How do we achieve that mission? And I think that's the second part of the pitch. And I think that's a lot where people fail, right? Because coming up with ideas is really easy. Executing on good ideas is hard. Right? Coming up with any idea is very easy. Doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean you can execute on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what separates the best from the rest.
So if you had like 3 minutes to pitch Affinity, how would you structure that?
Yeah. So the way I structure that is number one, and this is a formula, right, that many startups have used. Number one, lay out the problem, right? The problem today with us is large banks are not giving the right financial solutions to these different industries, small business owners. Number two, I would lay out what the industry looks like today, right? How have fintechs, how have startups tried to address this problem before? Spoiler, they haven't. And even if they have tried, they have failed. Number three, I'd lay out, what has the core problems been attributed to, and subsequently, how are we solving those problems differently? And then I'd go on to, you know, what are we doing from a day in and day out perspective, right? The product itself, how it benefits small businesses, how we're going to market. And I think an important piece of that as well is how big the market is, right? We could do really well, but if the market is only 100 people who want the product ever or ever need it, it's not really a startup that I would invest, right? It could be a great profitable business, just not a startup. That's how you run. And then finally, I think the team matters a lot, especially at your stage, right? And my stage at the very end, after you go through the problem, solution, the industry, your product, how it solves it, the go-to-market strategy, how big the market is, finally is the team, and why you're uniquely positioned to solve. And I think Y Combinator summarizes the best. I gave the details, but the summarization is um, what it is, why now, and how.
So then, does Affinity have any competitors?
Yeah, we definitely have competitors, and I think the biggest thing to realize is we're not coming up with a brand new business model. This has existed since the 80s. There's this company called MBNA. I'm not sure if you heard of it before. They
Mm-mm.
launched in the 1980s based out of Wilmington, Delaware, and they signed 4,000 different professional society partnerships to launch these specific credit cards for that industry's needs. So, for example, they would sign with the Nurses Association, and they would launch a nurses credit card for all the different nurses around the country and give them benefits. Customize the card with the nurses logo, market it to nurses with custom, nurse terminology. And they did really well. I'm not sure if you can guess how well, but they sold to Bank of America for $34 billion in
Oh,
2006. Yeah, so they did really well. They had an outstanding loan portfolio of over $100 billion month over month. And what unfortunately happened was during the '08 financial crisis, Bank of America was fire selling their assets. I'm not sure if you know this actually piece of history, but they fire sold First Republic Bank during that time. And they also
oh,
fire sold MBNA. So now all of these partnerships are gone. And when we speak to these nonprofit societies and these different associations, mind you, they're nonprofit, it's in their name. They need to look for ways to generate revenue, or else they can't benefit their members with all the things they promised, from education to training to networking. And they were telling us MBNA was generating more money for them because it's a revenue share product, right? They're generating more money from the revenue share, from these credit card revenue share fees, than people were paying them in membership fees. So imagine that you join an association, you pay them, let's say, $500 a year to access all these benefits, but the association is making more money off the credit card. which is a great
Mm,
thing when you think about it, because now the association can reinvest that money into you, right? So uh, let's say you want to join a Bitcoin association, right? That actually exists, a crypto association, a blockchain association. You pay them $500 in exchange, they give you $1,000 worth of discounts and benefits. Now, let's say you use that credit card and the association earns additional $200 from you that you would have made for JP Morgan or Capital One, right? Because they're making money off your credit card. But now it goes to the association and they can reinvest that $200 back into you, your benefits. So it's a great thing. It's a really great thing for us to be able to monetize additional things for the association without coming at an extra cost to members. We're not making members pay more. We're not, charging them, insane amounts of fees. This is fees that, not fees, but revenues that would have went to JP Morgan, but now it's going to the association. So we spoke with these associations and they're like, it's unfortunate, but MBNA is gone. Bank of America fire sold it. It's been a decade. What's my alternative? So that's where we came in. We're looking to build MBNA 2.0, but really more it's like MBNA 2.0 plus, right? We're targeting small businesses instead of consumers because we think we can make a lot more impact there because it's so underserved. Consumer is very saturated. You can Google a consumer credit card, 100 comes up. Not many of them actually benefit you. It's a very saturated market. I don't think we can make as big of an impact from a societal and economic point of view there. So we're targeting small businesses. We're bringing them discounts and savings options on the supplies and equipment that they buy. So for pharmacies, we give them additional discounts by partnering with large vendors in the space on pharmacy supplies, for example. And we copy and paste that theme across different industries. We're giving them better financial tech. We're helping them save time and money on their finances. So that's the backstory. It's not a new market that we're entering. There's banks that do this. There's other companies that do this. But we want to do it better because
mm-hmm.
I can tell you right now, if you go to a nonprofit association site and you look at their credit card, it's not going to be the same caliber and the same savings options as what we provide. I think we can make a new generation of this type of business model.
Yeah. That's crazy. How are you so good at communicating like your vision? Like what can you give me some tips on how I could communicate my vision better? For me, I'm pretty like straightforward and I play towards the emotional side. I don't
So,
know if you do something different.
so what would be like an emotional, straightforward pitch for you?
Um, okay, if I had to pitch my company at least for towards investors, it would be very straightforward. Like, here's how we're gonna get users, here's how we're gonna make money, and then like these are our revenue streams, and this is our market, which I don't think is a good idea anymore. After talking to you,
I think it's very important to pitch that, right? But I don't think that's the. I think again, it goes back to the packaging, right? I just explained to you just now how we get users, right, via these association
yeah,
partnerships, how we make the association's money via revenue share. I explained to you how we make money off of the members paying credit card fees and using the credit card that the fees would have went to JP Morgan and Amex and Capital One, but now they're going back to us and the association who can actually help them and who can actually empower them versus just purely increasing shareholder value on the public markets, which we
yeah,
we we do, right? But it's a much more impactful way. So I communicated everything that you just said, but
yeah,
I think it's about telling a narrative and telling a story and packaging it
yeah.
differently.
How do you come up with the story? Like, does it just come up with you, or you actually plan it out first?
Um, I think it comes, but you have to plan it out to really make it succinct, right? So, um, what I would suggest that you do when we end the call and you want to work on your pitch is write down everything that you think and and you want to do with your company, right? So the vision, where you want to be in 2 years, where you want to be in 5 years, the problem, right? Everything that you think about on a daily basis, write it down and think about a thing, right? How does this all fall under one umbrella or one big idea? A great example is WeWork, right? So WeWork does a lot of different things. I don't know if you know this, but back when WeWork was, I forgot the valuation, but back at the top of WeWork valuation, they bought like a jacuzzi or like an indoor jacuzzi slash surf company where they make like
Mm-hmm.
water waves and indoor pools. So they did a lot of different things. But nevertheless, they were able to make everything fall under this collective vision of community, right? Whether it's drinking beers during work, which they did, whether it's walking around barefoot, whether it's building, high rises, or buying a pool slash jacuzzi slash indoor surf company, they made it all fall under one thing, and that's how they told the story, right? They were planning on building apartment homes, all under that one theme of community. So I think that's the best way to organize your pitch, right? Write down everything. Write down the problem, write down the solution, write down the industry, write down the market, write down the business model, and think about how it falls under one theme, and then uh, connect it that way. It's very much like writing a college essay. When your professor asks you, to write a narrative or write an argumentative paper, I would attribute it to the same idea.
Right. So I can go backwards then from what I'm understanding. I start with like how do I want the person I'm pitching to feel? What do I want them to really take away and understand about the
Yeah.
problem? And then I can just work my way back.
Yeah. So YC says this one thing where if someone can't explain, or if you can't explain your business in one sentence, no one's going to understand, right? Because how are they going to repeat it to their friends? If you can't explain it, if I can't explain it, if your investor can't explain it, it's not going to work. You have to narrate your business and your vision into something digestible within one sentence. So someone
Yeah.
can redigest it and throw it out there for their buddies. So maybe even start from there, right? That is the thing. That's the thing. It's a one sentence theme, and everything needs to fall under it.
So if my company was we pay for your gas fees with ads, like do I need to dig deeper into like a more emotional theme or
That's a great way to explain it. But now you need to talk about it's what we talked about in the beginning, right? Why it matters. Who is it going to impact? Right now, you keep talking about, oh, it's going to make people rich without paying fees, but who do you actually want to impact first, right? What's the edge of the wedge of the market that you want to go after, and really start from there.
So if I was like I think we're targeting the younger generation. It's like 20 to 30 to
But
40 year olds.
that's not necessarily the edge of the wedge that you can bring the most impact to, right? The edge of the
Mm,
wedge might be as niche as um there's, based on your studies, right? I'm just coming up with stuff, but based on your research and studies, there's 10,000 people around the US who are currently below the poverty line and want to use crypto to, increase their savings capabilities and send remittance back to their home country, right? That could be a very niche market. They have
yeah.
their immigrant parents, or they have parents or family living outside the country. Crypto is the best way for them to send money in and out of the US. It's stable, it's secure, it's trustworthy, but they're below the poverty line. That's a way better way to start, but of course this needs to come from your own research, right? I'm just coming up with random
Yeah.
stuff. For us, I'll give you a great example. Um, when we first started building this credit card company, my founder and I went to restaurant wholesaling companies. So think Costco, but strictly for restaurant owners. It's called Jetro. There's a big one in Brooklyn. So we went on to Brooklyn. We walked into the Jetro, and they sell fish, meat, chicken plates. And we would walk up to business owners, and we would introduce ourselves as college students or research students. And we would say, good afternoon, sir. We're conducting, a research. We'd love to learn more about how restaurant owners like yourself use financial systems. Or I would say, hey, it's great to meet you, sir. We're trying to build a school project. Do you mind sharing with us how we can help you, save more money on credit cards? Things like that. And we would actually talk to them until we figure out who's more open to speaking with us and which demographic works the best, which pitch works the best, right? So a lot of it is on the field work. You can't just sit behind your computer and expect things to come with you. It's more about putting yourself out there and understanding what the people want.
So I just really need to start pitching to people and just like
Yeah,
working on it.
yeah.
Okay. For like Pebble when you were pitching, like I know you gave me the example, but like how do you convey such a theme like that? Because like the people who would be able to invest in Pebble, wouldn't they already have some type of money? Like you can't get crypto without money. So it's like, what do you mean when you say I'm trying to help people get access to the same investments as hedge funds.
Right. I think the product that we were building is very interesting because it goes against the idea, right? The idea that you're speaking about is exactly the idea that we want. I would say the not basically the stereotype, but the prejudice people have about investing in crypto, right? The prejudice people have is, oh, I need some money, I need to understand the market, I need to be a sophisticated trader, which is true if you're going to try day trading, right? I'm not saying to start day trading without understanding the market, but when it comes to just checkings and savings, right? At that time during the zero interest rate environment, if you put your money in a JP Morgan checking account, you are going to make 0.001% interest. In the meantime, the same people at the trading desks at Goldman and JP Morgan, they're lending and borrowing USDC, US dollar stable coin. I'm sure you know,
Yeah.
but they're lending and borrowing that and earning 5, 10 plus percent. And for us, we wanted to break that prejudice. We wanted to say, hey, you don't need to be super sophisticated just to put your money in checking accounts, right? That's not something that people think about when they walk into JP Morgan. They're not like, oh man, to open a new checking account, I have to be a finance major. So why is it that when we want to open a crypto checking account or a crypto-based savings account, you have that prejudice? You're like, no, I do need to be a crypto expert to do this. So we're trying to break down that wall. We're trying to say, okay, why don't we build a product that looks and feels and acts just like your normal checking account? Obviously, without, it's not a bank checking account, but looks and feels that way. And we advertise it as an easier way to put your money into crypto. So from the product perspective, it looks like you're opening a checking account. For legal purposes, it's not, right? The disclosures are different, the terms and conditions are different. But from a UX UI perspective, it is. And I think it's about breaking down that prejudice, breaking down that wall. And you don't need to have a ton of money. We had customers who were super young, 18, just got out of high school, or they were 45, 60, wanted to put a few dollars in, who put $20, $25 in because they've never done this before. And we're able to help them, be their first crypto wallet.
Oh, I see. All right, can I give you a challenge? Like, if you had to pitch my company, AdFuel, how would you go about it? Like, I'm just trying to see how the way you think about these things
Yeah,
and
yeah.
understand how you think about it.
Well, I think I pitch it without knowing your exact product or without knowing your exact business model. I pitch it
It's exactly that.
Okay,
We
okay.
just pay for your gas fees with ads.
Yeah, I pitch it exactly the same way I did in the beginning when I said you should go to a South American country, a place where people really need crypto to survive. It's a need, not a want. That's something people forget. In America, a lot of people who use crypto, it's a want. You don't need crypto to survive in America. That's just flat out lie. I'll say it right here on video. It's a lie, right? When people say I need crypto in the US or else, the government's going to take away all my money. Sure, there's a chance that happens. But compared to the people in more developing economies, that's just a lie. So think about those people, right? Their money is inflating at 10,000% month over month. They're using Venezuelan dollars to wipe themselves after using the restroom because of how worthless it is. This is literally Germany economy, World War type of economy. And the only hope for them, for their families, right, for putting food on their kids' table is switching their currency over to USDC or a stable coin or a US dollar backed currency on the blockchain because it's much more trustworthy than their government. It's much more stable than their currency. And all the hard work they put in day out, 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, backbreaking labor, office job, I don't care what it is. They're doing hard work to put food on the table. And they don't want that money to be lost through inflation. So the only choice they have is to use, let's say, USDC. Now, unfortunately, when they go to the grocery and they want to buy food on the table, they get hit with that nasty $20 gas fee. And there goes 20% of their paycheck, gone in an instant. And in their heads, they might be thinking, what's the difference between me using the stable coin than just keeping my money in this inflationary currency? All my hard work was just lost in another way. It's this, two sides of the same coin, right? I either lose it through inflation or I lose it through gas fees. So, I, Shen, have a solution for this. Today, you can start using my product and all that hard work goes into a place where it's lossless. You're not going to lose your hard work, your food on the table. This could be an extra meal for your family. to these gas fees. Instead, you just support a local business who wants to advertise to you, another fellow business owner, another fellow, citizen of your city who wants to get some advertising opportunities. You just support your community. And in exchange for supporting your community, you now keep an extra 20% of your paycheck. It's that simple. So that's why we're introducing this product today. And here are the details. So I think that's a good way to start it, right? It's
Damn. Holy shit, dude.
and
Fucking
you
hell.
know and that might not be the best pitch for the product, right? I'm just
Yeah.
that was a challenge that you threw at me, but I think that covers a lot of the things that I can tell from your simple pitch that could impact people, right? Supporting local
Yeah.
businesses who want to advertise, supporting yourself, not losing 10-20% of your paycheck to gas fees when that's your main currency,
Yeah.
and wrapping it up in a succinct narrative.
I see how you're thinking about it now. Damn. Okay. So then when you pitch something like that, right? Like, okay, thank you so much, because in one of the competitions we were participating in, they gave you like this social impact award
Mm.
if you win it. And I could not get a social impact for my company, like not one. But now I got one. Thank you.
Yeah,
Damn.
I think it's a
How did
two-sided.
you
It's
get?
two-sided, right? The
Yeah.
advertising side, it could be very impactful as well.
Yeah. So then would I also tell a story of the advertising side or just the user side?
That's for you to decide, my man. I that it's your
Damn.
company, it's your company, it's your vision. But um, I definitely think that's an opportunity to explore. I don't even know if this company or this idea works in the market. I haven't done the testing. I haven't done the research that you have, right? You're the
Yeah.
expert in the field. Um, but I think it's something to brainstorm.
I want to know, like, I've been asking founders this exact same thing.
Mhm.
Oh, Sahil said Vivek Ramaswamy is a good
Oh
communicator.
yeah,
That guy's
yeah,
insane.
he's good.
Yeah.
He's great. He's great. I
But
had the honor to see him in person, Vivek.
really?
Yeah, we were in Illinois on his campaign trail, and I had the honor to watch him speak twice in person. And his uncanny ability to, I say this in the most respectful and honorable way, to redirect any question thrown at him into his own narrative is
Yeah.
impressive. I mean, you can ask him a question that you 100% know he's unprepared about, and he'll
Yeah.
redirect it back into exactly his narrative. And I think that's something everyone can take away from, right? Like, imagine
Yeah.
if I asked you about a question about your startup that has nothing to do with your mission, your vision. It's some random thing about your advertising model. And within 10 seconds, you redirect me back to your vision and mission. That's something that Vivek was able to do. And
Yeah.
it is impressive. I'll say that.
For sure. Then can I ask you, why do you do all this? Because now you're on your second startup
Yeah.
or third.
Yeah. Second.
Why do you do it? Like I'm sure money isn't what's driving you.
Yeah. I think for me, I think there's a selfish reason and there's a unselfish reason, but
Hmm.
they all tie to one. It's two sides of the same coin again. The selfish reason is I want to see people with my product and be impacted by it. Right? They don't have to thank me for it. I'm not asking for their honor or their attention. That's not it. It's about being able to see, wow, like what I put my blood, sweat, and tears into actually work. Like people actually use it. People are impacted by it. People feel helped by it. And it's a very selfish reason. I'll say that very honestly, right? It's like, well, I did this for XYZ people. I was able to help. The unselfish side of the exact same reason is seeing people with much better businesses, much better lives, much better outcomes because of what you did. It doesn't have to be fintech, right? It's just it comes in many forms, right? That's why I respect people who work in different industries. I respect, even if you join the military, it's the same reason, right? A lot of the same, I think, human nature drives many people to do what they do, and a lot of times it comes down to these two things, right? the unselfish and the selfish reason of being able to see people be impacted positively because of what you do.
Why is that so important for you to be impacted? Because to impact other people, because I know some people, they just want to make their money, go home and sleep
I think,
and not be known.
I mean, that'd be nice, right? And I think that's a byproduct of many people who think like that, right? You know, many people in tech have made it, and they made that money, and they can go home and sleep. But along the way, they impacted a ton of people, right? So I think for me, that'll be a great byproduct. I'm not saying I don't want it, but I think the main reason would be doing this, or else I would just, I think being a quant makes more money, to be honest. So
Yeah,
there's better ways to make quick money.
yeah. All right. I want to be respectful of your time, so I just have one more question. And I asked Sahil the same
Mm.
one. If you had a kid, what characteristics from yourself would you want to pass on to him? And what characteristic of yourself would you not want him to get?
That's a good question. I think the characteristic that I would like to pass on to him is the drive to do something that they really want to do. I don't care where the drive comes from, right? If my kid says, "Man, my wrestling coach told me I couldn't be an all-star." I want my kid to be a damn all-star, right? If he says, "Man, like I want to take humankind to Mars." I want him to do it. Like if he sets his mind to something, I really really want him to do it and think about it. And I think that's something that I think about, right? Personally, so I'd love to pass that on to my kid. Something that I don't want to pass on to my kids. That's a really great question. I think something that I can say something that I think I want my kid to do better, and achieve even more than me. I think is um, the ability to understand problems even quicker. So I think that's a very necessary skill. I think it's a skill that I have for sure, and I think it's something that I'm constantly improving on. And my dream would be able to improve so much about it. I can teach my kid how to do it even better than me. So analyzing problems is something that we face day in and day out in the company. Understanding the root problem is the hardest part, right? A lot of people find the wounds and they put band-aids on it, but not many people can solve the root problem. So for me, if I could raise my kid to be able to do it 10 times better than me, that'd be amazing. I know he would succeed in life. I think you can take that with you everywhere, from family, right? Family disputes, to friends, to work, to society. Being able to diagnose the problem quickly and find a solution is a core trait that I want everyone to have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was great. It was great being